see where we are. We are live again. This Thursday on YouTube. We're back. Man, it seems like it's been a while since we've been here.
Minute, man. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it definitely has.
This season 2. We lose Marcus again.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, let's go. Right where we go. Ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the technical difficulties that you got to deal with when getting back into the swing of things. Yeah, I don't know. This is the funny thing. I don't know if it's even still recording. It says we're still live, but Marcus.
I think we are.
So I'm wondering if it's still recording. So we'll keep it moving like it is.
Yeah.
Is he back? I hear him.
He's back.
There he is.
Man, the YouTube internet gods are on us today.
Anti us right now. That's all right. Because we're the triple prophets.
But
They don't want the word out. They don't want the good word out.
it was like, hey, we're gonna talk about death today, and it was like, pause. No, you're not.
No, you're not. We don't want you out here helping people.
But as you can see from the title, man, debt. Where were we, man? This debt can hold you back just like bad internet can. I guess.
Right. We were gonna welcome back, seeing how everybody was doing, and getting ready to talk about debt. Me and Tavante was trying to. It looked like Tavante gone now too.
I'm not going. My computer's dying.
Okay.
All types of technical issues today.
I love it. It's the perfect way to get back into it. Everything that Murphy's Law, everything that can go wrong, gonna go wrong. So let's get through it. And then we straight.
Exactly, man. Hopefully it don't crash too much. But
All right, we good. Here we go.
all right. Well, hey, man. I don't know. Christian should edit this part out.
Definitely.
Right. Want to do it again for the and action, man.
Act right.
From here on, Christian, play this part. Yeah.
Keep it in. Keep it in. We're live, kind of, right now.
There we go. Good to see y'all two brothers on screen at the same time, man. And one of us ain't sick.
Right, good to be back.
Anything. I'm glad to see both of y'all back. No, all jokes aside.
Yeah,
I know, man.
definitely.
Omicron has been taking its toll on us this year, man.
Man, Devontae, the only one that ain't caught, man.
I caught it when it first came out. It was just COVID. It wasn't Omicron. It wasn't an upgraded version. So
You got version A. You got the original. Okay.
Yeah.
The remodel version. Yeah, that was COVID sugar free. Like very light, yeah. Yeah, man.
Well, hey, man, just to kind of, piggyback a little bit off of our discussion was last half an hour or so, man. Debt. I think debt is that's a topic I did want to cover today. Just short. We're starting off the new year, right? People operating businesses, they're spending money. Quite frankly, some income tax checks is around the corner. Some of them might already receive some of the funds and the ducats. And you may be or have certain things in mind to do with that check to get out of debt so you can start your business. But all in all, we hear this myth about good debt, bad debt. What you should do before or after you get out of debt. What's your take on it, JD, man? When you're out there and you want to start your own business, you want to get out there and start hustling, man. What's your take, man? Do you just go for it or do you worry about the debt that you have?
Man, I think it's a balance of both. I think you definitely you don't want to be scared of debt because there is some good debt that you can get into. When you get ready to launch a business, start a business, you're going to have to take a certain amount of risk. to start that business if you don't have any capital out of pocket. But I also think, you know, you can hurt yourself if you getting into bad debt, you know, not getting too many liabilities versus assets. So you got to find that balance. But I think the biggest thing is you need to get out there and learn about that. I think a lot of people, the perception around it is very fearful. Some people, if either are, you know, don't want to be in any debt, they don't understand because they don't understand the good that it can bring. And I think some people get into debt and don't know how to get out of it, so they just avoid it. And I think that's one of the biggest problems. And the biggest thing I think you need to do is just take a step forward to at least learn about debt, whether it's trying to get started or getting out of it. But especially, I know like most people, it's the getting out of it stage that creates the most fear. So you just got to learn. There are so many tools out there, especially with the internet now, that will give you at least a starting point on what you need to do to figure it out and do what needs to be done so you can set yourself up as best as possible.
Hey man, and go ahead, Devontae.
No. I was gonna say I think JD put out some definitely great points. Like I like he talked about not being afraid of debt, and it really depends on where you are. You know, I look at my journey as where I'm at right now, and like where I started off like 10, 15 years ago. And my mindset about debt, it was like my mama told me don't get in debt, you know. Or remember that bad that I got into, and my experience was like, oh, you definitely don't want to get in debt. And still not understanding, like JD was saying, that there is amazing ways you can leverage debt. And the key to it is at each level, learning how to not be afraid of it, how to reframe how you see debt and how you utilize it. I mean, I'll be honest, I have tons of debt right now, like tons of debt right now. And I used to be ashamed of that debt because I read all those books, the guru books that tell you, you know, don't get in debt, you know, pay everything in cash, you know, don't use credit cards. I read those information, and I started learning about the Robert Kiyosaki. He talked about his journey and that him and his wife were in tons of debt before they actually start to see the money really flowing in, tons and tons of debt. And now experiencing that on the other side is my fearlessness of how I deal with my debt that changes everything. It really just changed everything. It's not really about being out of debt that changes it. It changes with how you handle it. So like, even though I'm in debt, like when it comes to like dealing with people that I have to pay, I like my confidence level is way better. Like I talk to them like I'm definitely a person who's gonna pay this debt off, you know, like not a big deal. First, oh my God, I was in my bed, like I felt like the way the world was on me back 10 years ago. Like, oh, you know. And the thing is that you go through periods. I went through periods, so I paid off a lot of debt, and then I got into more debt, so I started a business, and I paid off debt, and then I just got into more debt. So there's definitely levels to this thing. And I know we're gonna talk more about that.
No, you're good, man. I would say for you in your 10 years, your transition on learn, like where did it start? And then two, as you learn more, did you gain more confidence?
So where it started was just basically consumer debt. I had tons of consumer debt, basically. Car loan, student loans, stuff like that I wasn't really even trying to make money off of. And then as I learned like the lingo of certain bank terminology, started learning how credit cards work, you know, that, you know, basically every credit card has a billing cycle of 30 days and a grace period of like 20 days. So really you got about 50 days to pay a credit card payment in full and receive no interest on that payment, just stuff like that. And that changed my mindset when it came to looking at, you know, you get a credit card, everyone's like, well, what's the APR on it? And I don't give a shit what my APR is because I'm paying it off in full every single month. So it could be 60% APR, but why did I care about it? But those are small little tidbits that change your mindset once you learn how certain tools work, then it changes. Oh, I'm gonna be afraid of that. You know, it's like looking in the dark and seeing under your bed and seeing there's no boogie monster under there.
Mm-hmm.
Your bed trying to jump in your bed before the cookie monster grabs your legs or whatever.
Right.
Just learning about it. Education will put away fear.
So I totally agree. And that's why I wanted you to touch on that, because that is key. I think right there is like what people really fear with that is what they don't know about it. Mm-hmm. They don't understand how to manage it or handle it or even address it in most cases. But that's why I wanted to, like, I figured that out. Like, and that's with anything. Like if you learn something more about something that you're fearful, it naturally takes so much of that fear away because you start to understand it, and helps you. Now you can approach it strategically instead of emotionally.
Exactly. Now you can navigate it versus reacting to
it. Exactly. Marcus, we lost you for a second.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw you back.
With you.
Okay, perfect.
Talking about the consumer debt, and I tell you, business debt, like people are so like enamored nowadays with having business debt or business credit and things of that nature. But it's all about, like you said, how you manage it, right? How you manage everything, or in the business world, how you budget. So when you're operating the business, there are certain expenses that you have to have when you're either selling a product or a service. There's expenses that if you don't have the revenue coming in, there's going to have to be some kind of gap, right? You're either going to get it covered by a credit card, a line of credit, debt from your Uncle Joe, who's going to lend you, $2,000, right? It's got to come from somewhere. And as long as you budget for those appropriate expenses, it'll give you some sense of, you're doing the right thing versus, am I just going in debt to lose money? Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Prime example, we didn't carry debt basically in the appliance repair business when I first started. But last year I had to make a conscious decision to say, okay, we're not just going to walk around debt free, because the growth projected needed me to spend money that for future gains, right? And the only way to do that is to take out a line of credit, to have the proper third-party accounts for parts, things of that nature. So in turn, we were able to take on debt in order to be able to grow without having.
Oh, it caught him on the perfect thumbnail too.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty perfect one. It was.
Dang, he was spinning some game. God dang it. Wanted to hear me back. Man. So Devontae, so we don't have no dead air, man. Let's just going back to what we were talking about. So I know you said you were started with consumer debt and getting out of that. Where did the learning start?
The learning start when the debt got so great that I had to stop trying to make it work and let it work. That's where I think everyone gets to, where they get to a point. I've just heard a lot of people say the same thing, that when you get to a point where you have so much debt and you just like you almost just don't care anymore about it. You kind of become like a crazy man. You start laughing at it, like you just like, oh, this is a lot of money I owe. It becomes this thing you don't care about it, and then it starts to flow. Then the ideas start to flow. Then everything starts to move for you.
Gotcha.
Those invisible things that I can try to explain it, but you don't really know it until you feel it. And you're like, oh, this is what he was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Gotcha. I don't know if you ever seen the movie The Joker. You ever seen the Joker? The movie?
I still have not watched that one yet.
You need to watch it, man. You need to watch it. Now,
Actually, I'm looking to watch it this weekend.
Okay. So there's a scene in the movie. I'm not going to. The scene in the movie that I like most in The Joker was when he killed this guy who was a talk show host, and he thought the talk show he killed him, and he walks out of the he stopped being afraid in that moment. He became himself. He walks out of the studio and police are trying to catch him, but he's walking down the stairs, kicking his feet like a happy man. You know what I'm saying? Because he finally like learned to be himself. That's how it feels to like just let it go and then let things work out. And when you do that, the money starts to flow in.
Gotcha.
You start moving. And because Marcus, I know you can test this too. When you trying really hard to make money don't come, right?
Come in.
It's the more problems you create. Yeah. And so that's when it comes. I'm not sure why everyone has this, but I'm definitely having an experience. We got a lot of debt, and it's like everything is in place. You've done all the things you should do right. You know what I'm saying? It's just more so that you were just afraid. You saw this happen, you were afraid, and then you start to let it go. Things start working out.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And Marcus, yeah, you was dropping some jewels before you on this, man.
Man, I know, man. I know. As soon as it freezes, man, I can tell. But it's all good. It's all good. We're still live. We keep it going. But what I was talking about, man, was I don't know what I was talking about, man. I was going in, man.
yeah, you in the zone.
I was on budgets. It was in my tool bag, man.
I think you were talking about how you took on debt because you saw that it was kind of like the writing was on the wall for you to make that move.
Yeah, you were saying basically that you had to go in debt to help the projection numbers because you were just sitting stagnant with your business. So you want the projection to go up, so you had to go in debt.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people they run through the same type of issue where every month they feel like, they have sales, but then they're waiting for, to claim or collect on the revenue, and they can't take action on the next step because they're waiting for the money to come in. And then over time, you're going to have, your consistent bills, your overhead that's going to be due no matter what, and when you're getting through that situation where, you're making money, but you're being delayed because you're waiting for somebody to pay you, that's a prime example of, your business not having enough capital to be able to move to the next level. And that's where good debt can come into play to help you bridge that gap to move forward. And you have to have the confidence to say, hey, whatever interest charge that exists today, I'm going to pay it, and it's going to be worth it in the end because I don't have that revenue today. So it's a cost to debt, but you have to factor that in to your normal, operating day-to-day life. Like it's great to run on straight cash, but man, you look at using Square to be able to receive that cash right away, and it goes directly in your bank account, so you can pay a bill or you can buy a extra tool that you've been needing. It's worth to pay that 2-3%.
Yeah,
got you. So that makes total sense. Like if you're balancing it where your business is taking care of the debt anyway, it's like, why not?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a huge mindset change when you start seeing it that way, because I think when you initially into business, you start seeing everything personally attached to you, but you have to start seeing your business apart from you and start seeing that your business is, like, for instance, I mean, I daydream. Today I was looking at an airplane because I want to get my pilot's license, and I was looking at a jet. This jet just came out like it's like the smallest personal jet out. It's like $2 million, which is cheap as I don't know what for a jet. Like really cheap for a jet. And I was like, I caught myself thinking, like, how am I pay for that? Like, Tavante, your business. Your business, Tavante. That's how you're gonna pay for it. But that small little, for 5 seconds, I was thinking about me personally paying for that. I'm not gonna pay for that. My business is gonna pay for that.
Man, and that's the truth, man. So, and not to go too far off topic, obviously we've been looking at buying businesses, acquisition, and right now with the price or the cost of money right now being so low, like you can finance $1 million for around 10 grand, 11 grand a month, right? So if you can find or you can furnish your business with $1 million and you have to pay back 10 grand a month, but the outcome is you're going to make 60, 70 grand a month, that 10, 11 grand can be used to service that debt. And that's something that you can't scale up quick enough if you don't have that type of cash, no matter what you're doing. Yeah. Right. So you have to be able to understand, how many customers you can potentially have, how far you can go within your scope. But you have to have that courage to be able to say, yeah, it's okay to, have a bill of 10 grand a month when I'm bringing in 70 grand. It only makes sense.
I think just listen to me, being sure, like thinking for the average person out there, those numbers sound scary. You know what I mean? Like that. just you know what I mean? Your average 9 to 5 person that's going to hear that is going to say, God dang, 10,000. They aren't even hearing the 60, 70,000 a month to take care of that. They're looking at the 10,000. So like Marcus, what do you think people need to do to kind of bring down some of that fear that's attached to that? Like where do they start? Where do they start to strengthen their mentality to build that type of mindset to not focus on that? Or like how Tavante was saying, build their knowledge base up so they aren't worried about that.
Well, I think like the most important thing that somebody can do in that type of situation is if you're in a business, if you can find a mentor that's doing the same type of business you're doing, who will actually sit down and go over their books with you, you can get an understanding that, just because you make $1 million in revenue, you're not going to walk away with, 800, 900,000 a year. It's just impossible, damn near, right? And when you're doing business, you're operating, you're doing service, you're providing a service, the margins don't exist like that, right? So that's the first step. If you can't find somebody that's in your industry, find somebody who's actually doing business to sit down and talk about, what is overhead, what's your cost of goods sold, things that go into business in general, and try to get a good idea on, well, I guess the biggest thing for me where I learned it was from actually managing businesses. And I know in large organizations, we may be pulling in a contract, $2-3 million contract, but at the end of the day, you're only going to be making it on the bottom line 8 to 10%, right? Unless it's managed by me, then you'll walk away with 30-40%.
Talk that talk.
That's what we do.
Drop the ebook.
Yeah, best on the West. But but you got to really understand, like, and in order to make those margins, there's going to be a period if you're starting from scratch, right? There's going to be sunk cost that goes into the business that you're just not going to be able to recoup. It's just cost of getting started. And then also there's just going to be expenses until you can actually ramp up your customer base and figure out your marketing, right? It's being able to understand that every business, there is a cost to be in that business,
right?
And that's what it is. It's not a get rich quick scheme. These are, real businesses where people operate, and there's expenses when it comes to operating. And just understanding too that every business goes out of business. So the game is just understanding how can you make the most impact with the time that you have over that period, and how do you diversify over the period of time to keep it going.
I love that you said that, because that blew my mind. I'm listening to a book called The Psychology of Money right now. And in one of the chapters, I think I talked to you about this, Marcus, too. it mentioned that since around the early 1900s, 1920s or whatnot, that pretty much like 99% or some very high 90% of businesses that have started since then have also disappeared.
Yep.
And it's like even in the top 500 businesses, like 40% of those get washed out. Like it's just it constantly happens like annually. So it's one of those things, like you said, like don't get into the business thinking that business is gonna last forever. Get into the business and make it as fruitful as possible while you're in it. And then hopefully take the knowledge and the financial gain that you have gotten out of that business, put into the next thing that's smoking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that too. I love that. I love that you talked about that, because I think it's that's the name of the game. It's like looking at it like a bunch of branches. Eventually, one of the branches of that tree is gonna fall off. It's no longer gonna take on water or have disease. Cut that thing off. Keep the tree going. You know.
Yeah. I like that. Of course, the guru with the nature quote. I like that. I like that.
Another thing I thought about too was the whole idea that, like, when we hear like regular people who are not running business, we hear cost, we think bad.
Very
cost
true.
Cost is lost. No, cost can be a gain.
Mm-hmm.
Taxes, if your business costing you money, that's money you're not getting taxed for. That's against your taxable income, which could support you. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about being either an employee or being self-employed or being a big business owner or investor. Each one of those levels, if you ever heard of Rich Dad Poor Dad or the cash flow quadrant or 4 quadrants, rather, each of those quadrants has their own benefits and taxes, and big business owners have huge benefits when it comes to taxes because they have huge expenses.
Right.
Yep.
Right. I like that, man. So going back, I think one of the biggest messages in this episode of us speaking right now is knowledge, learning about the debt, learning how to manage it, learning good, bad, where to start. For you guys, like I know for me, like learning for me kind of about debt and kind of changing my perception on it. It started for me kind of just scouring the internet, learning a few things. Like I picked up a few things from people like Jay Morrison. He had a couple videos. There was a couple other house flippers and stuff that I watched. Where would you guys suggest getting that knowledge? I know while we're talking about it too, we got the ebook link. If you guys don't want to go with the ebook, like where would you guys suggest getting started?
Marcus is frozen again.
Marcus froze up again. His face looked too serious.
Yeah, so he does. Like you looking down on you little minions.
I like you got the backup. You got the backup coming in.
Okay, all right, there it goes.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you hear us, Marcus?
Yeah. Where to get started?
Yeah.
Hey, so I had to mobilize this thing.
I saw you.
That's a tough one, man. So I can go back to what I did. I just Googled search how to get out of debt. to be quite honest, and I found this nice little template. And it was easy to walk through, but I would say the foundation of the template was understanding, what you have as far as debt. What are your credit card expenses?
What are your credit card expenses? What do you have as far as like, there we go. What do you have as far as like interest rates? Coming up with a plan to be able to, knock out your highest interest rate first versus your card that has the most debt on it. It's levels to it too, because, you want to look at, as far as your utilization, what's going to be the biggest benefit to get your credit score increased, right? Because as you get an increased credit score, you get offered for balance transfers with 0% interest that'll save you money there. It's so much to go into it, but I have this nice little template that I use to and it organized. Once I put all my debt in, it organized where I should pay and how much I should pay on each card each month until I got out of, the situation that I was in. So if you're looking, Google or ask Devontae. Devontae's the man when it comes to that.
I like it. Sound like it gave you, at least Google gave you, like I was saying in the beginning, it gave you at least the first breadcrumb to kind of follow to at least get out the situation.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you. No. I agree with Marcus. I mean, I think those tips that he gave are some great amazing tips, great starter points. Definitely to like understanding like all that about understanding which credit card to pay off first, to benefit your credit score. Looking at each payment towards your credit cards as like a rolling each payment up. So if you're paying one credit card $100 and you get that one paid off, you don't stop paying $100. You add that $100 to the next payment, roll that into the next payment of the next credit card, and you start seeing that everything flow. And then looking at it from the standpoint of how much is this credit card costing me? And once it's paid off, that's going to increase how much cash I have available to me. I think that's key to it. But I think the key is just starting with some steps and letting the steps motivate you. Because I do some mentoring and I tell the kids, because they get money, not a lot of money, but they get money, kids get money. And like, when we were kids, we just blew the money, went to the candy store, bought shoes and Jordans, buy your girlfriend something, right? And I always try to tell them, I was like, look here, your goal is before you turn 18 to have 10 grand saved up. 10 grand, you can do it. Any kid at 16, 17 years old can have 10 grand saved up, And I told him, I said, if you got 10 grand saved up, it starts with just starting. You just got to start. You just got to start small little steps, $20, $5. Once you start seeing that money, so talking about paying off debt, but I'm actually talking about saving money. And I think saving money is actually stupid. I think it's actually stupid. But if you're starting from somewhere, you have to learn to save money. Once you get to a higher level, you're not gonna worry about saving money ever again. How when you get there. But if you first start off, you have to learn to save money, because that habit of saving money will make you disciplined. And once you see 10 grand in your checking account, you're gonna want to protect that shit like it's your life. You're not gonna want to like have anyone to come in and just swoop and get that. You're gonna protect that money, and that discipline is what you're gonna need to pay debt off. Discipline.
That's right. That facts. I think like you said, wrapping your mind around that five figure number in your account or in your hand, like it stretches your mind of what you're capable of doing. And even more so, like you said, it creates and I love that. I was waiting for you to say that, to a discipline, like, because that's what it takes to save up that type of money. To save up that money is going to take discipline, to not spend it on things, to not, any that new hotness that comes out. You aren't putting that money instantly into that. Like you're saying, I have this goal, I'm reaching for bigger and better things. This is what my focus is. And I think once you create that discipline, it carries over into a lot of other aspects in your life.
Yeah, definitely.
I love it. Yeah, no, I totally agree with both of you guys. Like, to Marcus's point, like Google was my friend when getting started, learning how to just watch a video, Googling YouTube. I could tell you naturally with some of the things that are out there, natural research, who you're talking to, what you're reaching out about. There's some things that are you're gonna be offered to pay for something to take care of your credit. That can be good. Just make sure who you're dealing with is a good person. They're actually, they have some reviews of people you can reach out to get an honest review, because there are some companies out here that are faulty. But I will say this, that naturally, if you pay for something, you get better results out of it. So depending upon what you're trying to do with your debt, I would say don't be scared to spend the money to learn an extra step, because to Marcus's point earlier about having a mentor, somebody that's doing it, they're just going to know more than you because they've been through more than you. You know, they're going to basically tell you where all the landmines, all the booby traps are, so you don't have to get your head cut off or your leg blown off. Like, just learn through them, so it makes your process a lot faster. So I will say, there are programs out there that will walk you through it. There are people out there that'll walk you through it. You just got to do the research, find out what works best for you. As I said before, I know we have a link to an ebook, $97. It'll walk you through scrubbing your own credit. But once again, if that's not for you, some people that ain't for it. Some people don't want to do the reading. I get it. They want the video or they want somebody to show them. So it all comes down to what your learning style is, and honestly, how in depth you're trying to go into this world. But there's so many avenues and ways you can take it. But the biggest thing is, I think, it's just learning. Don't be scared to learn. Don't be scared to move. Don't let it freeze you. If you are in debt right now, don't let it freeze you up. If you're thinking about getting into debt and you want to start a business, something like that, don't let it freeze you up. Learn so you have the confidence to face that monster.
I agree. Great points, guys. Definitely.
Hey. Well, shoot, man, another week. We made it back. Good conversation. We on top, baby.
Technical difficulties is nothing. Triple P.
Dude, I gotta get up out of here, man. Next week, back at the office, man, because this home internet is killing me, man.
Yo, I man. My boy bouncing around, shoot. Yeah, man, I'm good with it, man. I got to get back out here and mingle a little bit.
All right. Now, hey, again, another great week with my brothers here. Good discussion on debt. If you want to find us, please subscribe on our YouTube channel, Triple Profits Podcast. We definitely leave a comment. If you got a way that you got out of debt, or you got a book or something like that can help anybody out, please go ahead and do that. But until next time, peace.